and welcome to Universal Studios Hollywood. Happy Halloween, happy November. We have so much to look at today, from Grinchmas to the end of Horror Nights to Super Nintendo World to Twosome Chocolate Emporium right behind me. Let's start with that. The front of Twosome Chocolate Emporium looks absolutely fantastic with the new smokestacks fully revealed, and we're still going to get some more thematic elements on that. But our biggest news is on the inside. I see some photos that are hanging up. I see a bar at front of the restaurant, while the front doors are the new theme of the doors. The doors on the right are still the old Hard Rock doors, sort of like what they're doing on the second floor balconies, keeping the guitars. Anyway, Twosome Chocolate Emporium looks absolutely fantastic. Turning to the left a little bit, at Universal Cinema, we have some updates where on the right and left sides of the building, we have new movie posters for movies coming out in November. Next to the Universal Cinema, they started putting up the panels for the screen, and you can just see how small they are. Because it is Halloween, there are costume guidelines here at CityWalk and in the park, so this sign lets guests know as soon as they leave the parking structure. But you know what? There's way too much to look at in the park, from Super Nintendo World to the holiday decorations, so we're going to skip with everything else on CityWalk and just head right in. Before even heading in the park, not just the string lights on the trees are indicating Grinchmas is coming. It's also right on the ticket booths. Above the lights that shine on the arch for Horror Nights, you'll see some red and green lights. I think that's going to be for Grinchmas. And first one in the park, and they're rope dropping us, which means that they hold us until about 8:45-ish, and then they let us go to enjoy the attractions. Before they rope drop and let us all in, right on top of the animation studio store, we now have red and green lights. On top of Sideshow Slaughterhouse on the New York facades, we have red and green lights, and on the Universal Central Plaza, we have some red and green lights. Grinchmas is starting. After rope drop, I'm heading into Pet's Place to check on some Grinchmas decorations, but I do need to note one thing. Unfortunately, while we were rope dropped, there was a guy who was being really mean to team members about not letting him into the park. Don't be mean to team members. It's not their rules, and just be nice to everyone who works here, because they love working here and they just want to make your day awesome. Okay, now let's check out some decorations. Here's the garland on the side and front of the Palace Deli and Market, and turning across the way, here's our look at all of the Grinchmas and holiday decorations up here on the Pet's Place facades. These look beautiful, and I like how each building kind of has its own feel. And you can really tell the distinction, like Otto's Toys has rainbow garland, and the facades outside of Despicable Me Minion Mayhem have garland and lights that go with the curtains that are already in the facades. So for example, this facade has purple curtains, and you can see the purple garland and purple lights. And it's the same going on here with blue, red, and green at the end. Here's our side look at Secret Life Pets Off the Leash, and it does look like they're still putting up some decorations on this side, but we have a couple already up. Mulligan's Irish Pub has some decorations here right underneath the awning. And while it doesn't look like Super Silly Funland has any holiday decorations beyond the regular string lights that are up, the Halloween decorations that are still on Minion Cafe will be here for at least one more day. Heading into the Parisian streets here, there aren't many holiday decorations up, but there is a lot of Halloween Horror Nights decorations. This is the Scare Zone, El Pueblo del Terror. Earlier this week, I got to attend an event where we took over the DreamWorks Theater and had a panel hosted by John Murdy. It included a lot of the creative team behind Horror Nights. We got lights on tours of houses, backstage access to a lot of the cool things behind the scenes on how Horror Nights worked, and it just gave me a lot better appreciation for how the event is put on. Now, unfortunately, I won't be posting any content from that night, but I can say thank you to the Universal team members for putting that on, because I had a fantastic time. But you know what is right next to the Parisian streets, right over the edge here? It is, of course, Super Nintendo World. Let's get a closer look. And while there are a lot of updates in the lower lot, from the seating topping off of the building that used to take over the commissary, the continued expansion of Universal's creative campus, and the seeming finishing of paint on some of the back sound stages, I know you guys really want to see Super Nintendo World. So looking at it now, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the Bowser head? Oh yeah, the Bowser head. We now finally have progress on something we've been waiting so long for. Chances are, by the time this video is posted, his head might even be up there already. But we now have a frame above the awning where Bowser's head is going to go. Here's a look at what it looks like in Universal Japan, because we're probably going to have ours look pretty similar, although our castle does look a little bit brighter. Also in the land, we do have continued updates over at Peach's Castle and over by the Warp Pipe. We will get better looks at those from the Starway and from the lower lot, but here's what they look like now. One of the biggest changes is not actually in the land itself, it's kind of behind the land as part of the Mario Kart queue. And this is this big blue wall that's being painted, and the subsequent kind kind of indoor-outdoor segment. We'll get a lot better look at this from the studio tour a little bit later. Here's what the top of the Toad-themed cafe looks like. We do think the Toad head is going to be put on there sometime soon. And for the fun of it, here's a quick montage of some close-up shots from Super Nintendo World. And as I say every time I leave the former smoking section, do not smoke, it kills you. Leaving the Prusen streets and passing the Haunted Forest, which is one of those discoverable scare zones this year at Halloween Horror Nights, we did get confirmation earlier this week that the werewolf that we estimated was from American Werewolf in London, which is a previous Halloween event, is from American Werewolf in London. I just want to point that out because I think that's so cool. A lot of props are reused, especially in the scare zones throughout the years. And passing the special effects show, I do need to make a comment that I made last week on the channel, which is there are a lot of rumors going on right now about Universal Studios Hollywood, more than I've seen in the park's history. But I will not comment on any of them on this channel until we start to see official announcements from Universal. If you want rumors, you know where to find them. Twitter's a crazy source, but not here. Now, one thing that's definitely not fake news is how much I love the studio tour. It's my favorite attraction in the park. So let's head back there to check on Super Nintendo World and so much more. And as you can see, we have a really long wait today for the studio tour. And it looks like we are getting an electric vehicle, which is pretty nice. Heading into the lower lot, here is our view of Super Nintendo World. Here is our look at the creative campus, which again continues to get bigger. It looks fantastic here. And right next to the creative campus is the former commissary location. And here's our back look at Super Nintendo World. We're on the lower level, you can see some green trees, and on the upper level, you can see some mountains have been added. Lots of stuff going on this side of the land. This is pretty exciting. We're heading into 6 Points, Texas for the first time in quite some time. They've been filming a lot of stuff here from Quantum Leap onwards. Now heading into Amity Island, looks like Bruce the Shark has come back. We got a cool photo of him about a week ago driving into Universal Studios Hollywood. They're still doing a lot of refurbishment here. You can see it looks like the structures that control the figures appear to be new, or at least repainted. And while a couple weeks ago we could get into Colonial Street, it looks like they are filming now. They have replaced the Jupiter's Claim billboard with one for the Equalizer starring Queen Latifah. Now, leaving the studio tour, I just have to give a verbal cast compliment to Mike. I already sent one in, don't worry. He was our tour guide and he gave a lot of cool information. I've been doing the studio tour for a really long time. He said some things I've never heard before. Like he mentioned the runaway train that was part of the studio tour. It's right now parked outside King Kong 360 3D on the collapsing bridge. I've never heard any tour guide mention that. I love seeing team members who are so genuinely passionate about what they do and like to go off script sometimes to reveal some things that they know that might not be part of the regular script. So thank you, Mike, for doing that, because you just made this one of my favorite tours I've ever been on. And as always, leaving the studio tour, I hope you're all having a tramtastic day. Now let's head to the lower lot. Before even looking out over the edge, this Harold Kopowitz photo op is likely going to go away tomorrow. So here's our last look at it. This is for Halloween Harry. It was part of the Terror Tram this year. And here's our side look at Super Nintendo World. Zooming in, there's not a crazy amount that we can see that's different here from the side view, but it is nice seeing just a different angle anyway. Here's our look at the front of Bowser's Castle, and here's our look at where we think the Toad facade is going to be. Also next to Super Nintendo World is the building that is replacing the former commissary. Here's just a different angle on it. We can see just how big it's gotten. This is also likely going to be the final week seeing the facade of Killer Clowns from Outer Space over from the Starway. Everything's coming together. Let's head to the lower lot to get a closer look at that warp pipe, shall we? Here in the lower lot, we have holiday lights up everywhere, from on top of Mummy Eats and the Illumination Entertainment Building, which is just Starbucks, and over here on top of the Character Shop, which is the Super Nintendo World store. Over in the Character Shop featuring Super Nintendo World, we have some new plushies, some new keychains, and some new headbands, including Mario right here, the mushrooms, and Boo. Now, as you can see with my shirt, I do love Boo, but I'm not going to be getting a headband this visit. So I just spent time chatting with Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Megatron. Had a great time. Now let's head this way and look at the warp pipe. And from over here, you can see the brickwork is definitely getting a little bit more detailed, more expansive behind the Super Nintendo World entrance, which has been covered up in tarp. no other update from this end. Now we're going to finish up the park over in the upper lot. Now here in the upper lot, I went into the animation studio store because I wanted to see if any of the Horror Nights merch started to be on sale, because after all, Horror Nights does end tonight. And it turns out, yes, it is. Horror Nights merch is up to 50% off and sometimes even more. That's pretty cool. So for all you guys who wanted to get Halloween merch really early in the season, you could have just gotten it today and it would have been really, really cheap. So look at wait times. Forbidden Journey's 50 minutes, Flight of the Hippogriff 40, Ollivander's 15, Studio Tour 10, Secret Life Pets is 20, Despicable Me 25, Simpsons Ride is already 80, Kung Fu Panda is 10, Jurassic World 25, Transformers 40, Revenge of the Mummy 25, and Animal Actors and Special Effects Show are both running today. And Waterworld is still closed for refurbishment. Over in the Universal Studio Store, where most of the merch selection for Halloween has shrunk, we do have some new merchandise for Jupiter's Claim and the Terror Tram, including these pins. Pretty neat. We also have 2 new Simpsons Halloween shirts, including Happy Haunting and Happy Halloween from The Simpsons. Big fan. We have so much stuff we didn't have time to check out today, from Christmas decorations in the Wizarding World, which we will definitely check out next week, to more merch being off. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.